And Anish, as you think about your board, and we were looking at your board, and we seen it has also changed its complexion. Uh, it is a younger board today than it was maybe 5, 7 years ago. It has more women today than it did 5, 7 years ago. And clearly, when we see that you're doing this, your board is doing this out of conviction because it's not meeting just the regulatory norms. You've gone well above the regulatory norms. How is that changing identity of your board and perhaps therefore the changing conversations at your board? How do you experience that as an executive?
I think it makes for much richer conversations. And here again, I would emphasize it's not just gender diversity, it's also the different backgrounds that our board members come from. And not just at the M&M board level, but as we look across all our listed entities, in many cases, from an independent director standpoint, first, over 40% are women, not just one out of four or five or six. Second, as we look beyond gender, we have professors from the US, we have um, ex regulators, consumer advocates, CEOs of companies who've retired. So there's a very broad cross section of folks from private equity, folks from investment banking. And that cross section of people really helps create a much richer set of conversations with the board.
And for you, as you continue to drive Mahindra forward on its journey, what do you think it's going to look like in, say, 10 years?
It's going to be an organization where no one will ever have the question that was I not given this role because there was something that I didn't qualify for from an ethnic background or a gender or disability or anything else. It should be an organization where everyone looks at it and says that is an organization that's equal, that offers equal opportunity to everyone. And we enjoy working there because we allowed the freedom to speak up and our voice is heard. That's what we'd like to be. And I would add that a lot of that exists today,
I was just
right?
going to say,
And a lot of it has
where are
been
you on your
because of our
journey?
DNA. If we go back to an advertisement that our founders placed in 1945 in the Times of India, it talks about merit being the sole test of ability, and neither caste nor creed nor race, etc., shall come in the way of merit. So this is what our founders put in the Times of India in 1945, right? So that's really been the DNA. So for us, uh, this journey is much easier because it's part of who we are. And it's just making sure that as we take every step, we've got to be the custodians of that. At the same time, we have not been able to show gender diversity as much in the organization. And therefore, how can we get more senior leaders? How can we support them?
As we've looked at your businesses that you run, there's a wide set of them, and they have very different DNAs. Uh, Underlying it, of course, is the Mahindra Rise philosophy. But the different DNAs of the different companies across the group, the different businesses they're in, some which tend to be more male oriented and others which are not. How do you drive this culture across these very diverse businesses? And how do you get the business leaders to really feel that this is important across these various businesses?
So, the benefit we have is that the RISE philosophy is something that is part of the fabric of every business. And that again comes from who we've been, and therefore the rest of it comes easier. Yes, businesses have been male dominated in some cases, and it's tougher there because even when you put a single woman leader in, uh, they find themselves in an environment which is um, possibly an uncomfortable one, and it's a journey for us. In most of our businesses now, we have a senior woman leader. In our auto business as well, one of the emerging businesses we have, which is our electric three wheelers, is now led by a woman CEO. And there are other women leaders that we will have there over time as well. The head of strategy now for our farm business is a woman who is again gone in from the corporate office, one of the 70% of folks who we hired over the last couple of years. The head of strategy for Mahindra Finance is a woman now. And again, she came in from the corporate office and has gone there. So there are a number of women leaders who are moving into our businesses, and that's starting to drive that change, that mindset around the fact that diversity is important. I don't think anyone questions the fact that diversity is important. I think folks have often struggled with how do we make it happen. And both of us have struggled with it sometimes when we look at candidate lists and say, but there's no one in the industry who's a
Yeah.
woman. And we said, then let's work harder and
Let's
let's find
create
the
them.
right people.
And we're clearly
Uh,
creating some of them.
and we are creating some of them. So many of them we will have to groom internally as well, and therefore this is a journey that takes time. If in the Indian context you had a large number of women leaders in every industry, it would be much easier. But for us, we don't have that luxury, and therefore we've got to take the leadership in making that happen.